So I'm here with someone that is claiming to be high up within the organization known as the Shadows. Earlier today, they put out a pretty ominous video on LifeInvader about how the war isn't over with law enforcement. Can you elaborate a bit more on what your point behind that video was?
Absolutely. The point behind that video was to show the general public on LifeInvader that uh, their mistakes aren't going unnoticed and they're not going unpunished. We will continue to strike law enforcement gov any federal employees that harm the general public and or their constitutional rights that the LSPD and SD seem to throw in the trash any chance that they get.
So, for the sake of the general public, who some might not know you guys or what your mission statement is or what these constitutional rights are, could you elaborate a bit on what kind of things that you guys consider to be like the rights violations and the things that you disagree about the way PD and SD operate and the government?
Well, if I sit down here and told you everything that we disliked about the LSPD, SD, Gov, we'd be here for months. Uh, right now, we've been in a war against the LSPD for months now due to their constitutional breaches on the Fourth Amendment, mass law violations, and just all around reasonable suspicions in the terms of arrest.
Okay. And was that video earlier a threat of an upcoming attack, or was that more of general warnings?
Attack is not plural.
Attacks? Okay. Noted. Should the general civilian, like a general member of the public that's just, your day worker at, say, a mechanic shop or Weasel News or, just someone that does freelance work, should they be worried?
They take money from the LSPD or Gov is something that they should be asking themselves.
Okay. And what would the end goal be for you guys? What could LSPD, SD, or the government do that would make you guys pivot a little bit more and not be, quote, at war?
Completely abolish their high-ranking command, their brass. Elena Flores' head in the box.
The officer in that video you put out looked like he was taken hostage or kidnapped or something and then murdered. Could you elaborate a bit on that officer?
Absolutely. That was, yes, it was an ambush. We kidnapped the officer. We actually kidnapped two officers on that video. One is still running around with no fingers, and the other now is in a box, pine box. The second one that we killed bled out for multiple GSWs, and then the fingers and a random head you'll be seeing real soon.
So you specifically hunted these people down?
Correct.
And was that specifically for the purpose of the video to send the message, or was it something they specifically did to you guys?
I would say both.
What do you think the government can do about this situation? Because obviously the issue is with law enforcement and the government. The government have a level of oversight, but not full control over everything. But what do you think the government can do to help solve this situation that you dislike?
Governor Whitehorse needs to not follow in the footsteps of her predecessor, and unfortunately, that is exactly what she's doing.
Okay. Next question. Obviously, there's a level of democracy kind of happening in the state right now with the Law Review Committee voting currently happening. Is the Law Review Committee something you guys support, or do you think it's a flawed system, and if so, why? Or any other comments on the Law Review Committee?
It's a circus. No, we wouldn't put candidates in a flawed system and a flawed government.
What are the numbers of people supporting your cause? Be that people that are directly affiliated with you or people that aligned, should I say?
I would say the majority of people we come in contact with, excluding Gov, LSPD, SD, greatly appreciate and support our cause.
So this is something that you talk to the general public about in maybe not in sort of overt terms, maybe a bit more just in casual conversation to maybe gauge their thoughts on it. But it is something that the general public seem to support. Are you saying?
Yeah. I mean, given our LifeInvader post, our comments on it, you know, word you hear around the city here and there, yeah, I would say the majority of them do support the mission and or the cause. Let's be honest. The LSPD's brutality has touched the majority of the citizens here, unfortunately, and their brutish behaviors, and that's why we go to such lengths to maim them and kill them.
There was someone on LifeInvader that recently made a post specifically referencing the Los Locos group down the road about how the Shadows bomb buildings and the Locos clean up after them. Something to that effect. Is there currently any ongoing issues between the Shadows and the Locos?
Our number one goal is not to have any issues with any criminal organizations because they're not our primary goal. But if they get in the way of said primary goal, then they will be dealt with in a manner. That's pretty much what that post was about. If you could see, they tagged one of our turfs, one of our territories with Oni rats. Obviously, we have pretty much immortalized the Oni mask as ours. I don't think that's up for debate anymore. And that's what that post was about because they received government funds to clean the City Hall bombing aftermath up. And we just kind of thought it was ironic that they called us rats.
So when you say you're not interested in sort of causing issues with other criminal groups unless they get in the way, what would constitute as being in the way for you? Would that be working alongside law enforcement and government, or being sympathetic to them, or what would constitute that?
I think you've pretty much hit the nail on the head. There are certain groups out here that make no attempt to hide that they have confidential informants, that they snitch to the police, that they help the police. We have actually, here on our last operation, had a member of a major gang. I'm not going to mention any names as of right now because it's going to be talked about that they actually helped prevent a kidnapping of a SD officer. So those groups are going to be, we'll deal with that accordingly.
So on that topic, what's your personal opinion on the recent assassination of Jimmy Soliceto's wife from allegedly snitching, by their words, and the execution after the fact? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it pretty much solidifies my last statement with CIs. The only thing I regret is not being able to do it myself.
So why is it that you chose to interview with me today?
The reason I chose to interview with you today, I want the general public to be able to see this interview and understand that we're here for a purpose. We're not just a ragtag bunch of terrorist thugs, as Gov, LSPD, SD would have you believe. Each attack has a purpose. Each attack has a meaning. Each ambush does too. And as long as we are breathing, as long as we have the weapons, ammunition, and other means to fight for the encroachments against your civil liberties, we're going to continue to do so.
Okay, thank you very much for this interview. Yeah, thank you.